I love you, but I am not going to post the digital escape until I am done with this because half of you will work on it while I'm teaching. You might find that to be, say, multitasking, but there's just a small vein of rudeness in there when you guys do that, just so you know. So I'm going to post it afterward. Now, the good news is this will not take us long. Okay. Greta, Trisha, and Steve are investing money in hopes of becoming millionaires. That would mean that they would not spend all of their money on squishmallows. I don't know that life, but that sounds cool. All accounts have annual compound interest. Okay, so compound interest, I want to remind you, is exponential. Greta invests $2,000 in an account that promises 10% growth every year. Lucky you, Greta. Trisha invests $1,000 in an account that promises 15% growth every year. Amazing. Steve invests, where are these kids getting this money? In an account that promises 5% growth every year. Before doing any math, who do you predict will become a millionaire first? Why did you choose that person? Landon? Trisha is the correct answer, and why? Yes, because her percent. And I'm just going to change your word higher to highest, just even though your description was perfect. Okay. Write an exponential equation to represent each person's money over time. Greta. Okay, so we're going to start with Greta's growth. And when we have growth, it's over 100%. So that means we go 100% plus 10%. So we're increasing, which means it's plus, which is 110%, which is 1.10. Okay, so her multiplier is 1.10. And once you get the hang of this, you probably won't need to show that math every time, but it's still a good idea. So her equation is y equals 2,000 times 1.10 to the x. Okay, Trisha, her growth is 15%, so we're going to say 100% plus 15% is 115%. And then move the decimal over 2 places, which is 1.15. But the difference with Trisha is she starts with 1,000. So y equals 1,000 times 1.15. Yeah. You guys hanging in there okay? Okay, now we're going to do Steve, which is one of my favorite names. I named the broom and dustpan combination Steve, and they're both Steve together. It's not just one of them is Steve. Steve Square. The whole thing is Steve. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I like it. Okay. So Steve is 5% growth, so 100% plus 5% is 105%. Move the decimal, 1.05. And lucky Steve has $2,000 to start with. Okay. Any questions about how I got those equations. Yes, Mike. Of course. Thank you for asking. Okay, part C. Part C is spicy. Greta tells Steve he did not invest his money well. Man, that's kind of bossy, but whatever. Steve says the percent growth is not a big deal. I beg to differ. He says in 10 years we'll both have a lot more money. You'll just have 5% more than I do. Show Steve why this statement is incorrect, then complete this statement. In 10 years, Greta will have blank percent more money than Steve. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take Greta's equation and Steve's equation, and we're going to plug 10 into both of them. This is where you need the calculator. So y equals 2,000 times 1.10 to the 10. So there's Greta's. Okay, and then over here, I'm going to do Steve. Okay, you guys, type these into the calculator and get answers. And remember, we're working with money, and I'm very specific about how I want money to look. Okay, so what do I round this to? 48. Perfect. That's it. Great. Okay, so we're going to say y equals $ $5,187.48. Okay, now what is C? $3,257 and nice. Okay, now has anyone ever calculated a percent increase before? Okay, so I didn't think so. So what you do is you do, we're gonna do the difference of them over Steve's amount. We want to know how much more she had over his. Okay, so we're going to subtract them on the top. Mrs. Talbot, why didn't they give us more room? I don't know. I don't know. Because they're special. They wanted to give us a really giant graph instead. Okay, now when you do this part in the calculator, you need to hit enter after the top line. So 5,187.48 minus 3257.79, and then hit enter, and then do divided by 3257.79. Okay, so the answer to this is 0.59. So what is that in a percent? Beautiful. 59%. Which means that Steve was kind of wrong because he said that she was just going to have 5% more. She actually has almost 60% more, which is crazy. Okay. Lastly, create a graph showing all three accounts. Identify when each person becomes a millionaire. Okay, so I'm hoping this will actually help us with if you were struggling on how to make the graph on the quiz review. Was anybody struggling on how to make the graph on the quiz review? Okay, so I'm gonna do this in 3 colors. I'm gonna do Greta in blue. I'm gonna do Trisha in green. And I'm going to do Steve in red. And if you don't have colored pens, just do like solid dashed and dotted or something. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Okay. The reason I didn't stamp activities because I thought people might have struggled with that graph on the quiz review. So I'm trying to do this first to help. Okay, so taking a look at Greta's first, and I'm going to use the calculator here. What did Greta start with? Yes. Yeah, of course. Okay, 2000. Now 2000 is really hard to graph on this graph. Just make a dot like really close to the bottom down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the calculator and go 2000 times 1.10. And that's really not any higher. Oh, Christ, it's 5, huh? 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, honey. 2000. And that's 100,000. So I just made it like really close to zero because okay, so now I'm gonna do 2000 times 1.10 to the 5. So I'm gonna plug in 5 to figure out what the dot should be here. And it's really not that much better because that's 100,000. So I'm still like way down along the bottom. Okay, now I'm gonna do 2000 times 1.10 to the 10. Two 2000 times 1.10 to the 15. Two thousand times 1.10 to the 20. It's coming up a little bit. 2000 times 1.10 to the 25. Okay, so a little bit further up. Do you guys understand this should make a curve at some point, hopefully? Okay, now, is Greta a millionaire yet? No. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going. I'm done with the graph part, but I'm going to try 55. No. 60. No. 65. Ooh, I'm close. Ah, 66. Okay, so 66 is where it crosses into a million, so 66 years. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to the green pen, which is Trisha. And the truth is, a lot of these dots are going to be the same. My first green dot's at 1,000, which is just slightly below the 2,000 dot, but even still almost at the bottom. So I'm going to go 1,000 times 1.15 to the 5. Same spot, really. 1,000 times 1.15 to the 10. It's not exciting still. Ooh, 16. Okay. This is the first time where it's coming up above just a little bit. Ooh. Okay, now let's see. I went slightly over a million here, so now I'm gonna go back into the calculator, try 49 years. Oh no, it's 50. It's 50, huh? I have a feeling Steve's graph is gonna be not as exciting because he did not invest his money well. Okay, so start at 2,000, same spot, 2,000 times 1.05 to the 5. Yeah, to the 10. These is running below. I'm like down here still. Poor Steve. Really just kind of mad that his friends didn't tell him about the other account. Okay, now let's do some guess and check on how long it would take him. So we're not even close. So I'm gonna try 100 years. Nope, that didn't even work. It is? Okay. Let me just for excitement purposes, let me try 120 is closer. 125. Yep, you're right. Nice. Good job, guys. I like it. 100. Poor Steve, though. My dust and pan and broom combination is not going to be a millionaire for 128 years. The good news is because he's a broom and dustpan, probably still be around. Maybe in the landfill, but I don't think he's going to be decomposing by then with his $1 million broom dustpan combo. Okay. Now, can you guys look at the quiz review, please? Quiz review worksheet. What questions can I answer for you from the quiz review worksheet? How can I help? Well, so there's a midpoint formula. Let me remind you from our note. We did this in number 98. Take a look up here. So if you want to find the midpoint without graphing, what you do is you add the two x's and divide by 2. And you add the two y's and divide by 2. So x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay, do you want to do it or do you just need the formula? What? You good? Okay. Yes, Lynn.
I just, it's more about the questions of the hearing. I don't really have any use for that. So do I have to use the word?
Only if it tells you. Okay, so this is an excellent question. On the quiz, it says complete the web, which means table graph equation. So what you're going to have on the quiz is you're going to have something like this, where you fill in the table and then you plot the points.
Yeah, I get the table, I can do the equation.
Yeah.
I just don't really seem it necessary for me at least to do the graph.
Well, if you're asked to do it on the quiz, could you? Yeah,
Okay, I kind of have to.
because you're supposed to see that it makes a curve shape and not a line.
Okay.
And also with about the asymptote, so where it like approaches.
Okay.
But I get what you're saying. These questions, you could solve it without using the graph. Yes, Evan? 7. Ah, okay. So first thing you need to do is mark any reflexive sides or vertical angles. Did you see the vertical angles? And then that's angle, side, angle. So you make the 3 bubbles. And then you have given, vertical angles. Are you with me? Okay. Did you just forget about vertical angles for a second? Now number 8 is not possible because it's angle, angle, angle. Okay, any other questions? I'm more than happy to help. Okay, so on the stamp sheet side, I am going to be stamping this and this. So 66 to 68 is in your notebook, and then the quiz review worksheet if you finished it. But before I do that, I'm going to publish the Building Exponential Functions Digital Escape. So you should be working on that while I'm stamping. And then homework is the mid-chapter 8 review worksheet, but it's not due until Friday. Oh, and this. Did you guys see this in bold? Okay, so let's talk about the topics real quick before I stamp. Class not found. Hmm, there must be some sort of internet problem. Are you guys having an internet problem or is it just me? Ah, success. Okay, let's read this together, everybody. Your next quiz will be on Thursday. You can use your pink sheet for notes. We'll have 15 minutes for the quiz. There are 4 problems, but these 2 are kind of together. So finding the length of a line segment and leaving your answer in both exact and approximate form. So that's like Pythagorean theorem, and then simplify the square root and then the decimal. Finding the midpoint. You can use a graph for that to eyeball it, or you can do the formula, either one. Creating a flow chart for congruent triangles. I think we all know what that is. Debate. Writing an exponential equation given percent increase or decrease. We just did that for Beretta, Steve, and Trisha. So the start multiplier to the x, and if it's a percent increase, you add it to 100%, and if it's a percent decrease, you subtract it from 100%. So kind of like the digital equation did too. And then the last one is completing the web. So this is going to be that same question, but filling out the table, filling out the graph, and finding the equation for an exponential. Okay, so that's Thursday. Now let me publish the digital escape and then I will come stamp and yada yada.